Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining me and my very special guest. She is one of Broadway World's favorites. You know her from such musicals as Hairspray, Xanadu, Catch Me If You Can, Mean Girls, and Beetlejuice. And this coming Sunday night, December 27th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, she kicks off her concert with Seth Rudetsky as part of his Seth Concert Series, which streams right here at Broadway World. Please say hello to my friend, Kerry Butler.
Hello.
How are you? Hopefully we pray that I'm not going to be sticky video Richie today or whatever else with these internet connections. You look fabulous. Kerry, first off, how are you and where are you?
I'm good. I am in New Jersey, my new house that I bought during coronavirus. Crazy. It's so crazy. We left New York as soon as Broadway closed, thinking we were going for 2 weeks and never went back. We went one time, my girls said goodbye at my apartment that I had all their birthday parties in, everything. But my daughter kept sending us real estate listings because my older one, she really wanted to move to the suburbs. She's starting high school. And so we ended up seeing this house and loving it the last minute, right before school started. And so we left.
I love all these people because my boss, Rob Diamond, and his wife, Jennifer Diamond, they had their baby, Leia, all during, they got their baby during COVID. Everyone's doing these, life still goes on, but it's like these major changes that people were doing during this.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Now, what's life like? Like, how are you handling and dealing the ongoing pandemic with the girls are how old now?
9 and 15.
Oh my gosh, I remember when you didn't even have your first one yet. So what's life like with the girls and how's the family dealing with everything?
Well, moving to the suburbs was actually a really, really good choice because, we have a yard now,
Yeah.
we can go outside, and my daughter is both of them are so excited to have their own rooms because you could get so much more space when you live in the suburbs. So that's been really, really nice. They're doing all virtual learning and they're doing really well. Hopefully they'll be able to go to school soon to meet neighbors and friends and things like that. But for now, we all like each other. So it's been okay being home together. We just quarantined for 14 days because my in-laws came to spend Christmas with us. So we didn't go anywhere for anything for 14 days.
I love it. See, that's the nice thing. People who are having 2 or 3 extra people in their home are quarantining the right way. So it's all safe. So, the holidays are going to be so different for everybody this season. What are the holidays going to be like for you? Do you start cooking as soon as we're done with this interview?
I do. And my mother-in-law is in the kitchen right now making her special Italian dishes. But these are the traditions that my kids love, and my daughter was devastated when she thought she wasn't going to be able to make all of these special dishes that she makes with her grandmother every year. Frito misto is one of them. I don't know, strufala. I might be mixing them up, but those are the things that they make. One's fried dough that's in honey and sprinkles on it.
We're all coming to your house for the holidays, just so you know. You have to do your blog of saying, here we are in the kitchen. These are all the Italian named things that we all love that we made for the holidays.
Yes.
This coming Sunday night, December 27th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you kick off your concert live with a rebroadcast on Monday, December 28th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, doing your virtual concert with Seth Rudetsky as part of his Seth Concert Series. Kerry, how excited are you?
I'm really excited. Well, first of all, Seth and I have been friends forever, before he was famous. And we've been doing these concerts together forever. So we know each other so well. We have amazing chemistry together. And so it's really fun. But also I just thought I really want to spread some holiday cheer. And so I've been trying to come up with ways to make this concert really fun and festive and just fun for everybody and for the whole family. So I set up all these contests festive attire. So if people dress up and send me pictures and come to the concert, I'm going to announce a winner and I'm going to have special memorabilia for them to win. And what's another contest? So there's the dress up contest. then there's a singing contest, I think, to win even tickets to the contest. That's Singing Fly Fly Away. And the other contest, oh, I know, fan art contest. I'm doing that too, and I'm giving away prizes.
I love that. You know, this has been so great during this time period. It must be so great for you just to have put a concert together to sing again. What's
Yeah.
that been like?
Well, the technical part was overwhelming. I was really nervous because, you know, when we do those things on StreamYard and singing, it kind of sounds a mess. But, you know, we're raising money for charity, so it's all good. But now I had they sent me all this equipment, and we had the rehearsal the other day. We're going to start like sort of sneaking out bits of the rehearsal, but it sounds so good. And it's just amazing that Seth is in New York, I'm in New Jersey, and we're connected over the internet at the same time, performing together, singing together. It's really cool. And I have my whole family involved in the concert too.
Oh, I love that. So what are some of the songs? What are some of the shows you're going to sing from, the composers? What can you sort of tempt the audience with?
Well, you know, I'll probably do my greatest hits. So we'll hit all the shows that people want to hear, you know, like Catch Me If You Can and Little Shop of Horrors, Beetlejuice, Hairspray. Then there might be some more obscure ones. We're gonna have Christmas songs. I'm gonna try and have a sing along where I might like post music and people could sing from home. Yeah, but we just really want it fun. We want to lift people's spirits, I think, during this time.
I love that you really thought outside of the box and you're like, we're just going to do everything.
I want it to be like an old-fashioned Christmas, you know, like with Muppets. Like, remember those old-fashioned where they just bring out their family, and so kind of that's what I want.
So what I love your background. This is the other new thing that everyone's doing. It's like, they're like, Richard, don't look to the left, don't look to the right, because there's hoarders on either side. It's like, you know, with boxes or stuff, they're like, this is my window where I make everything pretty. Is this where you're going to do your concert from?
It's not. Where I'm doing my concert from is even better. I'm doing it in front of my tree, and we rehearsed it the other day. It looks really good.
See, that must be so great with like the girls and stuff. They're like, and your husband, and like, you know, maybe your in-laws will be in this too, right?
They might be. They'll definitely be in the audience, so they may be laughing from the side.
Or walking out some incredible Italian treats during this. Totally.
Just make the audience jealous. Wish you could have theirs.
Totally. You know, you never know with Seth. I mean, everybody loves performing with him. I mean, like I said, you've known him, like you said, before he was famous. What's it like? Because you never know where he's going to go during a concert.
I know. During our rehearsal yesterday, I was like, Seth, please, can you just like tell me? I'm old. I need to work on these songs a lot before we do them. Can you please give me a running order or something? He's like, you got it. Just listen to your songs. You'll know.
Because he's going to throw stuff at you like, oh my God,
is.
we didn't discuss Xanadu. Or he'll be like, oh, sing from Xanadu, or sing,
Yes.
you know, let's do a disaster number.
That's exactly what is going to happen. And I'm sure you know, when we did those disaster benefits after the show, there's like this video out there of me falling on the floor because I could not remember the words. So I'm a little bit nervous about that. It is live, but hopefully the audience will get a good laugh out of it if I mess up.
That's what's fun about it. I remember those disaster benefits afterwards. I used to go to all of those. You know, speaking of disaster, I had your co-star and friend Adam Pascal here last week or 2 weeks ago when he was doing his concert. What was it like being a part of Sepp's and Jack Plotnick's beautiful musical Disaster? Because, you know, 70s music was my favorite. You know, I was brought up on that. So what was it like being a part of that musical and doing that show?
It was so much fun. You know, Seth everyone in that show was also like already established. So there weren't any egos, and we would just make each other laugh all the time. And obviously Seth and Jack are so funny. And then Kevin Chamberlain would always have this shtick before every single show. It would just be, it was really fun. Roger Bart, so funny.
But everybody in that show was like, I can only imagine.
Everybody,
dressing.
even Adam. Like, you know, I think of Adam as more of the straight guy. And then I was like, he was hilarious.
Did you share a dressing room with somebody?
I shared with Rachel.
What was that like?
It was fun. I love her. She's so great. And she was fantastic in that show too.
But it must have been great, like running from dressing room to dressing room as you're all getting ready with these 70s hairdos and these 70s costumes. And it was like Broadway dress up.
Yeah. Yeah. Rachel had the best costumes because she was the suit. I was just like, in a suit pretty much the whole time that kept getting smaller and smaller as the show went on.
She had those like Bob Mackie-esque kind of costumes.
Yes.
I was like, but the whole entire show was so great. Like, what is your favorite memory from Disaster?
Um, oh gosh, so much. But I would say the stuff that happened before the show, between Roger and Seth and Kevin Chamberlain. We would always stay in the wings before before they would say, get up places. And so every single night it was just a comedy routine between the three of them, and I would just watch and laugh.
I love that. You're also offering a special VIP sound check ticket, which I think is really fabulous for the fans because they get to watch the sound check, which you never know what's going to happen during that either.
Oh yeah, that's going to be really fun. Also, it's going to be crazy because like we said, Seth and I have rehearsed certain things, but he's going to keep me on my toes. So that's going to be the time where I really mess up. So if you want to see me fall on my face, that's the one to go to.
But I think it's great that you're doing that because it shows your fans and just people who love the music how it's all done right before the curtain goes up.
Mm-hmm. And Seth and I have been doing shows together literally since I was 9 years old. So we know this whole thing. Yes.
9 years old.
Yes. I was in this, my first job, it wasn't a job, but I did this cabaret where we would get paid in ice cream. And Seth was in it too. It was called Young Stars. And so we would perform and get paid in ice cream sundaes. And Seth was the genius because he could sing and play piano at the same time. And like Sarah Jessica Parker was in it, all of these big people. Seth and I always joke because it was all Broadway people. And I was not in a Broadway show until I graduated college. I wanted to be on Broadway, but I didn't make it until then. And Seth wanted to be on Broadway, obviously, too. And so it's like everybody wore their sweatshirts that had their name of their show on it, like Annie, Peter Pan. And me and Seth were like, Haynes. That's a joke.
I love it.
Because we're the losers.
That's fabulous. And now look where both of you are.
We made it.
No, but they must have paid him in double ice creams because he was a singer and a piano player. You should ask him that. That's hilarious. I didn't know that.
Yes. Sometimes during concerts, we will do the number we did as kids.
All right. So everybody watching, they may do this Sunday night. So, you got to tune in. You never can tell. Or fan art or whatever your fan clubs are doing. It's like, please do that number. Seth's probably already pulling it out right now. Seriously. I'm sure he's already got that on his piano bench. Well, again, this coming Sunday night, December 27th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Kerry Butler will be live with Seth Rudetsky with a rebroadcast on Monday, December 28th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Seth Concert Series is produced by Mark Cortali. It's sponsored by BroadwayWorld and StreamYard. Tickets are available at BroadwayWorld events and at SethConcerts.com, or just Google Kerry Butler. It will come up where you can get a ticket. And tickets are only $28.50. So that's really incredible. You have this massive stage and TV career. When I usually spend the rest of the interview going through highlights of people's careers, and I was like, yours is massive. Do you realize how much stuff you've done?
I do know I'm very lucky. And I appreciate it, like every time I walk into a stage door, I say, thank you.
Yeah, but I was going through this and I was like, my God, highlights. I said, I'm only going to be able to pick highlights because she's done so much stuff. Broadway debuts are so important, and they're so magical because they only happen once. And so many people were supposed to make their Broadway debuts this spring. And then the pandemic hit. I mean, we were all packed up to go to the opening night of 6 on the Thursday when it happened. I've had the girls on since. I've had all the queens on since then. But it's like, I hope when the theater comes back bigger and better than ever, they will all be given that opportunity. And that's going to be even more magical. Yours was in Blood Brothers as Miss Jones. What do you remember about your Broadway debut in that night?
Well, first of all, I had spent a semester of school in London, and I saw Blood Brothers there 3 times. I was also a huge Broadway fan, loved it, like crying hysterically at the end. Then cut to I graduate and I hear that Blood Brothers is coming to Broadway. And at this point, I still haven't done really anything, but I called my agents and they're like, who are you? But I ended up getting the audition. I got somehow in for the producers. I sang I Want to Be a Star from Nonsense. And at the end, Bill Kenwright said, Kerry, I think you will be. And then I went for the callback and I did the callback. And at the end of my audition, I was like, I just have to tell you, I love this show so much. I'm so excited that it's coming to Broadway. I don't even care if I'm in it. I just want to see it every single night. And then I got cast as the swing at first. So I got to watch it every night. And I got to watch it with the cast that I saw in London, who I loved and admired. And I would watch that show every night and just study those amazing actors. So opening night, I was the swing. So I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to go on, but they let me go on. And I just sang in the background, and people who were in the audience, it was a big belty number and it was a chorus, but people in the audience even said they heard my voice from the stage, because probably I was belting out so much because I was so excited. I remember just like crying and just thinking, I did it. I made it to Broadway.
So did you go on a lot for different tracks?
I did at first. Luckily, none of them danced, because I never would have been cast as the swing if there was any dancing involved. And then 6 months into the run, the British cast had to leave because of what is it?
The equity contracts.
Yes. And so they brought a new cast, and then they moved me up. And so then I got to be on all the time. And so then I was on with David and Sean Cassidy and Carole King and Petula Clark. It was an amazing first show.
Oh my gosh. And Brian Darcy James.
But isn't that such a cool story that like I had seen it and it was my favorite show, and then that ended up being my Broadway debut?
But see, you knew all the tracks. It's funny. I love swings. They're like, oh my God, you have to learn 9 tracks. But you were like, you were obsessed with this show. So you're like, oh, I know all these roles.
Sort of. They were, a little trickier when it's like smaller parts. But, and I understudied one part and I never got to go on for her.
Which was that? Linda?
Linda, yes.
Okay. I remember like I said, I used to go to that show like once a month, and I saw everybody. Helen Reddy, Petula, Carole King, Stephanie Lawrence, the original. I loved that show. And then the Cassidy brothers, like you said. I mean, I was obsessed with that musical too.
Oh.
See, I could have done it.
How many times did you see it?
What's that?
How many times did you see it?
Like 15.
Oh, I want to do it again. I want to either be Linda or Miss Johnston.
All right. We'll put the fan base out there. It's funny because everybody knows I like big glitzy musicals, but I was like, I was obsessed with that show. Mm-hmm. It's like gritty, beautiful, heartfelt musical. And Bill Kenwright, like you said, one of the greatest men in the world. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's great. Yeah. All right. So you also originated the role of Belle in the Toronto production of Disney's Beauty and the Beast. I mean, what was that experience like for you, becoming a Disney princess?
It was so exciting because I'm a huge Disney fan, as you know, and a huge Alan Menken fan. So I took my job very seriously as Disney princess. And I just loved meeting the kids afterwards at the stage door. And, it was a dream come true, really. And then I got to do it on Broadway, because then I opened the Toronto company, which was so exciting because it was, a whole new, all the press and everything. And I love Toronto. And then after like 9 months, I did it on Broadway, and I did it for almost 2 years on Broadway then.
Yeah. So it's a small group of princesses. I mean, it must feel so great. Like your daughters must be like, oh my God, mommy's a Disney princess.
No, they don't really care.
Really?
The part they care about is that we get to go on the Disney cruises for free when I perform, or I get to perform in the theme parks. That's the part that they definitely like.
I love that. Now, please tell everybody the name of your solo album, which lives on I can't say her name now because she'll start playing it now. I have you on my Alexa.
Oh, Faith, Trust, and Pixie Dust.
I mean, this is your solo album, which I was obsessed with because all my nieces were brought up on this album too, just so you know. And what I love about this album, this is all of your favorite Disney songs from the shows and from the films. And there was a special number on there, an Alan Menken number that was cut or wasn't used in something.
Yes, yes. Call Me a Princess was cut from Aladdin.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, that's a really fun one. Uh, you can see why it was cut, but it's fun to look back and see sort of the growth of the show throughout the years. Alan Menken, Howard Ashman song.
How proud are you of that album?
Very. I love it. Michael Cosrin
Yeah.
really helped put it together. Michael Cosrin works on all of Alan Menken's and Disney things, and I think he did a phenomenal job with that album and got these incredible people to do the arrangements. So I'm very proud of it. I'm really proud of all of the musicians
Yeah.
and the arrangements of the songs. So it's like a different take on a lot. Like, for example, one of my favorites is the It's a Small World, where, you think of It's the Small World as that annoying song. And then we kind of turned it into this ballad that went into God Help the Outcast. And that's one of my favorites.
Seth may be pulling that out for Sunday too. Get ready.
I'm not prepared.
Can you imagine? Then you moved into the role of Eponine in Les Mis. Like, what was it like living in the world of Les Mis and that incredible score and that role?
Another show that I grew up with, loving. I auditioned for it when I was 16 and didn't get it. And so then to get to, and would be obsessed with that song. It's like, I feel like kids now, they find their one song that they just sing and they're sad. That would be my song. I would belt it out in bed, hugging my stuffed animal, like so sad that actually my husband now didn't like me. So I would be singing on my own about him. So have faith, people. So yes, it was amazing. I couldn't believe that I was doing that show. But the fun part was this was one of the kind of when they rethought it. And so the directors didn't want to set staging. So you would go out and be like, where's Marius? I have no idea. And as someone like being put into the show to not know where anybody is, it definitely kept you fresh. It was, and also like even as you were in Lovely Ladies, we're trying to get the guys to take us off Lovely Ladies, and you never know if anyone was going to pick you. So a lot of it was just like fresh. Every single show was crazy.
Such a great show. Everybody who I've spoken to, they were like, Les Mis, one of their favorite shows. And then when they got to do it, they were like, it's like your Blood Brothers story, the same thing.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, Bat Boy. Now, we spoke a lot during Bat Boy. Bat Boy, what a fanatical following that show had. I mean, I still have a Bat Boy t-shirt. I mean, everybody was obsessed with that musical. What did that show and that role mean to you?
Well, like you said, I had already been on Broadway, but Bat Boy kind of put me on the map because it was original and I originated that role. And so, yeah, I feel like I got Hairspray because of Bat Boy. And yeah, and it was because when I went in, like everybody in the room had already seen me in Bat Boy. And yeah, it was very exciting. I just love creating new roles. That's my favorite process, to take something from someone's imagination and bring it to life.
But what a great cast. I mean,
yes, also great cast. Yes, Caitlin Hopkins. And to not know what you have is exciting. The craziest story about the bad boy. And then, ended up people loving it. People would be, going like this to me in restaurants. People would be with signs at the stage door. It was fun.
But it was like, I remember walking through like Times Square in the theater district. It was like Hamilton. Everybody had a Bat Boy t-shirt on.
Yeah. But then September 11th happened and we were right across the street from the memorial. And that's why Bat Boy would have had a much bigger life. They had talked about bringing that to Broadway, but it just didn't happen because of all that.
Yeah. So you got Hairspray because of that. Well, let's get into that. You created the role of Penny Pingleton in the incredible feel-good musical Hairspray. What was it like living in that wonderful world of Hairspray?
It was magical. It's definitely one of my favorite times in my life. also because the focus wasn't on me because I was just a side character. So, you know, the director, Jack O'Brien, really focused on Harvey and Marissa. So I kind of could do whatever I wanted. And so much of the show is just me playing around on the side, like, oh, Penny's on the side doing bad dances. That was just me. And then it got written into the script, or Penny's under the chalkboard doing a puppet show. And that was just something I just did because I was sitting there. So that's you know, and also that's another one where we had no idea how it was going to go. And then we're in Seattle and the first night, and the audience did not stop applauding and screaming after the first number. And then I had one of the first jokes when me and Tracy run across, and like this huge amount of laughter. And I was like, I didn't even know that was funny.
So what are your favorite memories of that? Because that was another show that I used to go to like once a month. I mean, just walking into the theater and just the audience waiting for Hairspray to begin. And then you hear that music, and then that curtain went up, and it was like just an incredible force of like applause and screaming and yelling.
Yeah, it
Like
was kind of like Hamilton. Hamilton
yeah.
is now, you know,
Yeah.
because everybody wanted tickets to it. Every celebrity came, wanted to come backstage. We were on every single TV show. I mean, we were even on MTV. Like, so it was definitely, and we all loved each other. So because we had bonded in Seattle. So it was really an amazing time.
Is there a fun, crazy thing that happened during the run, or a really favorite memory you'd share with us?
Um, Something that I used to, Harvey used, you probably remember this because you were backstage. Harvey would take pictures of everybody all the time with, it wasn't a Polaroid, but it was a thing where he could just print it out right away. And then he would cover all his walls with the pictures. Mark and Scott, who wrote the music, they would have these amazing parties. And one time, this is funny, one time they had a party, you may have been there, and there was like a tank of water in the party, and people like mermaids were swimming in there. And then a bunch of people from the cast took off their clothes and jumped into the tank. I did not, but I enjoyed watching them swim in the tank.
See,
Were you there for that?
I was there, yes.
That was crazy, right?
That is crazy. There was also a wall of shame, wasn't there, at Hairspray that Harvey did to people who would miss performances and then get kicked out? Wait.
Yes. And then he gave a dinner to people who never missed. And I was one of the people, a special dinner. It was only like 5 people who, after a year, I think, had never missed a show.
See, I love that though. That's old school. I think that's old Broadway, because you look back, because Harvey always said, this is old school. If I can do it, you can do it. You know what I mean? It's like when he goes through whatever. But I remember the Hall of Shame, and I used to go back to see people, and I'd see all these X's on a lot of them or whatever, you know, meaning they missed. So the dinner was only like 5 at the end, right?
Yep. And he took us to like this fancy restaurant. It was really, really fun.
It must be so great, because people don't realize, you know, that when you're doing a show, you wake up, you got to say, oh, do I have a voice today? Oh, I'm doing a matinee and an evening. You know, it's like, it's the prep you have to put into all of this stuff. And hopefully, like you said, you can do a show without missing a show. Yeah,
you definitely have to pace yourself. And, you know, if you're just somebody who's been auditioning and hasn't done an HO week, once you get into the HO week, it's completely different. You have to think about how you approach your songs differently. Because I know in Beetlejuice, when I did, I improvised kind of the end where I go up really high, and then like a month into the run, I was like, why did I do that? But it was all good.
No, it's all good. It's like, oh, this is not a movie, or this is not a one-time only. I have to sing these notes 8 times a week.
Yes.
Well, let's get into Beetlejuice for a second, because, you know, I mean, you got to co-star with Rob McClure, who played your husband. And then there's that powerhouse known as Alex Brightman. I mean, what was the whole Beetlejuice experience like for you? Another one, like I said, I think I've loved everything you've done, but I love everything anyway. You know that. But that was another show I used to love to visit, because, again, you'd meet the Broadway fans, and then you meet the diehard Beetlejuice fans who were falling in love with Broadway for the very first time. Like, what was your favorite time in Beetlejuice, and what was it like meeting the fans?
Well, my favorite time was definitely rehearsal, because we did all of these workshops, and with a show this big and with so much technical, we had to do these workshops because no one knew what kind of magic we were going to be able to do. So just Alex Brightman improvising and be like, what if we have a head pop up here? What if I pull out a head from this drawer? So that was just throwing out ideas. Alex Timbers creates such a creative, safe environment where you feel free to just say, what if this happened? And that was what rehearsal was like. I feel like I've never been in a process where the actors had so much freedom and contribution to the piece, because we needed to, because no one knew what the set could do. And it was created with us, sort of, with the things we're saying, could this happen? Could this happen? So that was really fun. Just nonstop laughing. Rehearsal, nonstop laughing, just shocking. Alex Brightman would just throw things out to shock us all the time. Meeting the fans was really great too. I mean, again, it just kept growing and growing. And towards the end, it was unlike any other show, really, where they were wrapped around the corner and all the way out to the street. It was insane. And you know what? It still goes on, because I'm meeting a lot of fans now, like on Instagram and stuff, who are telling me they never saw the show. They just became obsessed with the album through COVID. And they're diehard fans. I thought these people had seen it a million times because of the way they act, how much they love the show, and they had never even seen it.
See, isn't that great when a Broadway cast album, which is how we were all brought up. I used to go to my parents had their record cabinet, and I was like, oh my gosh, these are Broadway cast albums. What is Broadway? And my mother was like, because I had seen the movie The Sound of Music, and we didn't get the soundtrack yet, but my mother said, we have it in the cabinet. I'm like, no, that's Mary Martin. She goes, no, that's the Broadway version. That's the live version. I was like, I want to see a live show. So we all get introduced to these things in through cast albums, but it's like, so what was March 12th like for you? Like, did you all know like a few days before that Beetlejuice was going to shut down, or what did you all know?
No idea. We thought that eventually we might take a break. We thought maybe a 2-week break, but definitely not that day. But we had stopped doing the stage door at that point, because more for the people, because they were all so packed on top of each other. I was like, this is not safe, guys, for them. And so we stopped that. So we knew we were taking steps towards some kind of change. And then I got a call that we were just ending that day. And, we had food in our fridge. I might have had food left out. I don't know. I was so scared to go back. But all of our stuff was there. We were there for a year. All of our stuff was in our dressing room. And then we got a call or an email saying, you have a half an hour because of social distancing. We can't have that many people in the theater. So you have half an hour to go in, get your stuff, and get out. So I'm like, I had an alarm on, going off for every 15 minutes, because I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get all this stuff? So I left a lot of stuff there. I felt really bad for whoever had to clean up after me, but I was so nervous about going over the time period. I'm like someone who sticks to the rules.
It's like The Amazing Race. You're like, get through the stage door. This is your time. Grab everything you can.
Totally was. And I had, and oh my gosh, my dressing room was up so many steps. So I had to lug all this stuff down. I had a whole pile of stuff down in the lobby that our nice doorman helped me take it out then. It was crazy. And I never got to say goodbye to anybody. Even when I saw people, I was like, hi, I'm so sorry. I love you. I can't talk right now because I have to go get my stuff. My plants. I had my plants up there. I had to save them. A lot of them lived, luckily.
It's so weird, though, because everybody thought no one was prepared for any of this. And like I said, you're on this 8 show a week, this schedule of you're on this train, and all of a sudden it just stops. And you're like, people are like, oh, I can sleep for 2 weeks thinking this was going to come back right away. And then you're like, no, this is all done. Do you stay up? Do you email each other? Do you have a Zoom or a StreamYard? Do you all catch up every now and then? Or were you?
We were doing that. We were doing that for a long time. Yeah. We were doing that, I feel like, until we were scheduled to close. Every Saturday night, we did a Saturday night Zoom. And, people would bring drinks, and it was fun. It was fun. But then that kind of, everyone, I think, gets zoomed out a little bit.
They're all like, I'm not putting a face on. I'm not putting a
Yes.
background on. I'm not getting, I'm not putting on clothes. Not, outside their pajamas or whatever.
Yes.
I'll just text them whatever. But it was like, it was just such a weird time. But I want to get into Little Shop of Horrors because you did the first revival that came
Mhm.
to Broadway. It was you. I mean, what a fabulous company. What was it like taking on Audrey? Because you made her your own.
Yes, that was very challenging
Yeah.
because I think Jerry Zaks, who directed it, he had his own take on the show. And if you're going to do a revival of something so famous, I like the idea of changing it up because otherwise you could just go see the same production again. So he really didn't want, he wanted Audrey like more heartfelt and grounded. And so that's what the whole production was, I think. But I just loved playing that part. I love singing those songs. Those are my favorite songs to sing. And um, yeah, I think it was beautiful. And also I had so much fun dying in the plant and that the plant would go out over the audience. And there wasn't anything holding me in. So I really could have fallen out of the plant's mouth and landed on the audience. Kept it exciting.
You take those risks. That's what Kerry Butler does. That's why they hire you.
Exactly. Have your hand on fire? Yeah, I will.
8 times a week.
Yes.
You work with some of the Hairspray team again when you did Catch Me If You Can, when you stopped the show every performance with Fly, Fly Away. I mean, I loved that musical. Aaron Tveit, I mean, all of you, Norbert. I just thought that was see, I was brought up on variety shows of the 60s and 70s. So for me, I could have lived at that show every single day. I mean,
I think that is one of their best scores too.
Oh, totally.
It's the music from that show is just so gorgeous. Yeah, I loved doing that show. So, I mean, yeah, like you said, I've been so lucky. I really have loved all of my shows. They've all been dreams.
Yeah, but it's like you said, you walked a whole new stage door with this whole new company of people. But there was just something, the vibrant colors in that show too, and just everything. But I mean, what was it like stopping the show every performance with Fly, Fly Away? Because you did.
Thank you. It was like a dream come true. I mean, that's what I do. Like I've always, because I grew up singing on my own, and I was like, this is on my own. This is the song that all these kids are going to be singing, and I'm the first one that gets to sing it on the cast album. I felt like that was a huge milestone for me to have this kind of signature song. That because Marcus Scott wrote this glorious song, and I still love singing that song. We'll definitely do that one at the concert. And yeah, it felt like to have, because the part of the character that I played was so small, and didn't want to, and then throughout the song is where she finds her voice and grows. So it's like the audience kind of is like, whoa, wait, where did this come from? And so it felt like you had the audience in the palm of your hand and you could hear a pin drop. It was so quiet. And then to feel the whole audience just be with me, it was very special.
Yeah. You've done a lot of work on TV too, and we have to talk about your soap opera, your daytime soap opera on ABC, One Life to Live. You played the recovering alcoholic, Claudia Weston. Hilarious. How much fun was it playing her and living in the world of soaps, like doing a daytime soap? What was that like, especially that one?
It was great. It was a great learning experience. And I had just adopted my daughter. So it was, a great job for a new mom. Also, do you know who I became really good friends with during that?
Ooh.
Renee Goldsberry. She was on the show with me and we became best friends. We never had a scene together, but we would see each other and be Broadway, talk about Broadway backstage. And so I loved doing soaps. It was it's fun. I grew up watching soaps. After school, I would come home, turn on All My Children.
And then there you are on those sets. Is it the voice of God? Are they somewhere else? And they say, Kerry, move to your left when you do this scene or whatever. Are they on the floor now, or were there voices you heard?
They were on the floor, but it's pretty crazy how it's almost like doing live theater, because you're lucky if you get 2 takes, I would say, for soap operas, because they have to move so fast. They have to turn out so much in one day.
So you have to know who you're talking about or what dilemma that person is in, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's why it's really great training.
Yeah, that's why it's all theater people that do it,
Mm-hmm,
or
mm-hmm.
did it. All right, one of my favorite shows, of course, Xanadu, right behind me on the wall. I mean, you,
Ah,
Diane, Mary Tessa, everybody in that show. I mean, you roller skate in that, but I mean, Cleo and Kira, I mean, another thing like Disaster, fabulous songs from that time period. Like, what was it like living in the world of Xanadu?
I especially love Douglas Carter Bean's take on the
Yeah.
show. I thought it was brilliant how he reimagined the show but kept everyone's favorite things from the movie.
Yeah.
Um, and I would say that was definitely my most challenging show
Really?
because beyond a doubt. Because you know that how uncoordinated I am. So put a super uncoordinated person on roller skates and then have them play three different characters because as the god, I was always changing characters. It was incredibly stressful and I thought I was gonna be fired constantly, but I made it. And it ended up, getting me my Tony nomination. So it's good to face your challenges and stick things out. But I worked so hard. I would have skating lessons on my lunch break because it was so hard. And three people broke their legs before we even opened.
Yeah. It's so weird though, because that stage was all like it looked like it was all
It
like
wasn't, yeah, it wasn't, yeah. My husband always says, like, when they called me up to tell me I had the part, they were like, "Do you skate?" And I was like, yeah, I skate. And my husband's like, "Did you just tell those people that you can skate? We've been together forever and I've never seen you on roller skates." I was like, "Well, when I was 9, I had roller skating birthdays." So, and cut to, not realizing that I was going on those ramps and had to do tricks and arabesque and just even starting and stopping was a challenge. And to think then you have to sing and do lines while you're doing all of these tricks, it was a nightmare.
you
But
made it effortless though, because seriously,
a pretty good nightmare.
you wouldn't even look down and you'd be singing all these beautiful Olivia Newton-John songs. And I'd be like, she's not looking anywhere. And she could fall right into the audience, but you never did.
Oh, I was cheating for sure. There was never a show that I was not petrified that I was going to die. I'm just that good an actress.
You're a great actress. We couldn't see any of that. All right. You played Sherry in Rock of Ages. Was that like a rock and roll dream come true for you?
Yes, because I would never get cast. I feel like definitely before that
Yeah.
in those costumes and getting to sing. Those were great songs that I got to sing. And, as a nerdy girl, to play the girl who's cool and was really fun.
But to sing those rock and roll songs every night, was it
Yeah.
freeing? Was it freeing for you to?
Yes, I loved it. And also, that was a crazy audience show.
Oh yeah.
The audience, you went to it a bunch of times? When my husband went to see that, he was like, "What are you people doing? My wife is up there singing. Stop passing those."
Stop getting another drink ticket with those drink things.
So bad. One time, an entire section of the audience broke out into a brawl, and we're still doing this show on stage. Like we see the entire side section punching, and the security guard said that they took more people out during that show than in their entire careers of being on Broadway.
You must have really felt there was a mosh pit out there and you were really doing a rock and roll show.
Yeah, we really did. And that was fun. That was fun. Everybody getting out their lighters at the end of every song, singing along.
Oh, I love it. Your first non-musical role was, of course, in that star-studded production of Gore Vidal's The Best Man, which I was obsessed with, where you played Mabel Cantwell. I mean, tell me what it was like sharing the stage with the likes of Angela Lansbury and James Earl Jones and everybody else. But I mean, those two, I mean, wow.
I mean, when I got that show, when I did that show, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a real actress. I feel like every time I would pinch myself every day. I could not believe that I was working with them. And like before one scene, I would sit on a couch in between Candice Bergen and Angela Lansbury, and Angela would just be telling us stories from her childhood. It was amazing.
That must have been the best tech time, because there you are sitting there waiting for them to adjust all the lights, and Angela would tell you a story, then Candice Bergen will tell you a fabulous story, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm in like theater heaven here.
Yes. Yeah.
You were sensational, by the way. You're sensational in everything, but it was so great. I was like watching. I said, "Oh," I said, "She must feel so great up there to be, not have to sing and be an actress."
Yeah. I mean, I really, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that I got cast with all those people and just for acting.
Yeah. But you did another one of my favorite plays, The Call, which is Tanya Barfield's play. Yeah, where you played the artist Annie,
Yes,
an urban artist who adopted a baby from Africa. This was a very personal play for you, wasn't it?
it was. But funnily enough, I had to audition for it several times. They didn't like just offer me the role or cast because I had adopted from Africa.
Yeah.
Um, but so yes, it was, I'm such a huge supporter of adoption. So I
Yeah.
was very excited to be a part of that show. But at the same time, it was so personal to me that it was very draining.
Yeah.
I threw my back out just from holding on to all of that stress because some of those scenes were like deep.
Yeah.
And it's so funny how emotionally you can hurt yourself more than doing physical things sometimes as an actor, just putting your body through that emotional pain. So it's interesting. But
But it
yes,
must
I'm
have
so
felt,
happy
yeah,
that I
it
got to
must have felt great though, because you were so brilliant in that. That's like I said, that was a tough role for you to do, like I said, physically and emotionally, and you were just so
yeah.
wonderful in that. I just wanted to throw that out there, give you a big shout out for that show because you were so good in
Thank
that.
you. Thank you. Yeah, we
It's
just honored Tanya Barfield. And so we did a little scene from that show. It brought back really great memories. Yeah, that's another show that I was very, very proud of and wouldn't imagine myself doing,
yeah.
an original show at Playwrights Horizon. That's, a dream for actors.
That's great. Then, of course, there's the phenomenon known as Mean Girls, the musical. I mean, we all first fell in love. I went down to Washington to see you all, and I sat in that house. And again, the audience, it was all like mothers and aunts and daughters who were all brought up in this. And they brought their husbands and everybody else. And the husbands and the boyfriends had just as much fun as they did reminiscing on this. Not only did you play one role, you played 3 roles in that musical. I mean, how much fun was that being a part of Mean Girls?
Oh, I loved it. And, my daughter grew up with Tina's daughter, so we were friends already, which makes me even more nervous. I had to audition and everything, but, doing stuff for your friends makes me more nervous than anything. 'Cause you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to let them down. But she couldn't have been nicer and more supportive and didn't give me a lot of direction. Wasn't like, do this like me. She kind of gave me like complete freedom. She gave me a few notes occasionally, but it was great to have her as a boss. And she was amazing. And also Jeff, who I'm, great friends with. I was so proud of him. I love that music. It's so catchy, and everybody in the audience loves it. So it was really great. And also Tina, like I can't believe how much, because she's in TV and she's used
Yeah.
to just tons of new pages every single day, just throwing them out. Oh, and I should mention Casey Nicola too, who
No.
my first time working with him, and what a dream. He is, I love him so much.
See,
So positive.
I got to know Tina and her husband a lot during this time period. And she rolled up her sleeves. They did, and they created for the theater. I mean, it was so great. And I think she had more fun than anybody, or they had more fun than
Yeah.
anybody else of the process and just seeing this whole thing come to life on stage.
And also, she could have come in with a big ego and be like, no, I know it. And she was really there to learn. And yes, like you said, to make a good Broadway musical.
Yeah. No ego. That's what I love about her. And I see her all the time. And I love them.
Yeah.
Finally, what are you the most thankful for this holiday season? And what are you looking forward to the most in 2021?
I think I'm most thankful for my family. We've been stuck together this
Yeah.
whole time, and we still get along and still get excited to see each other in the morning. So I think that's the main thing to be thankful for, that we're not sick of each other. What am I looking most forward to? The vaccine, obviously, and I would say just maybe seeing people. I've been very strict and really haven't. So I would say, yeah, doing stuff with other people and having people into my new house, things like that.
It's so interesting because this is the new now. I mean, I think people are more connected now this way. And I hope when we all get back together again, you can actually have a conversation eye to eye with someone without them checking their iPhone or whatever else. And I think everyone what I miss the most, because I'm a heart person. I love to hug people and I love to just, and that's what I miss the most is that contact with seeing you and seeing you on a carpet or seeing you at an event or, and just doing that one-on-one sort of thing. And I think it's going to be a whole different now where people are going to be so much more focused on the person or the people they're with than they were before.
Oh, I hope so. I love that.
Yeah, I do too. You mentioned Playwrights Horizon. I want to give a big shout out and mention that you will be a part of the star-studded Save West Bank Cafe virtual telethon, which will take place on Christmas Day, starting at noon. I mean, it's you with the likes of Cheetah Rivera, Nathan Lane, Matthew Broderick, Pete Townsend, Betty Buckley. How excited are you to be a part of this, and why did you want to be a part of this?
Well, I wanted to be part, yes, because when I did the call, we would go there all the
Yeah.
time. And I know that it's a big part of theater history because so many people have performed there. And, just my heart goes out to all of these places that are all these places that we go to all the time and that mean so much to us. And they're suffering because theater isn't there. And they're suffering because so it doesn't closing theater doesn't just affect theater, it affects everybody, all the hotels, all the restaurants. So I don't want that sort of piece of theater history to go down.
Because I heard your special piece that you're going to do. It's so exciting what you've done for this. So everybody got to tune in. Of course, West Bank Cafe is one of Hell's Kitchen's most beloved restaurants. We all adore the owner, Steve Olson. I know this benefit was put together by Tom Dangora, his husband Michael, Joe Iconis, Tim Geeney. I mean, so many wonderful people. They've raised so much money. There's a GoFundMe page. If you just put in West Bank Cafe GoFundMe, you can go to the GoFundMe page, or you can watch this streaming all day long. This telethon, it's Christmas Day. It's from noon on with everybody under the sun dropping by either to sing or whatever else, which is just going to be absolutely phenomenal. And you've been using your voice, which I think is wonderful. You do so much for charity and benefits. That must make you feel so good during this COVID lockdown and shutdown that you've been able to use your voice and your talents to help people.
I mean, yeah, it's good. It's good to be a helper, right? Yeah, and
Yeah.
otherwise, I feel like if I didn't do stuff, then that's when I would start feeling sorry for myself, maybe. And so if I have like some motivation, like, oh, today I have to look good. I have to put on some makeup because I'm doing this benefit for them, and also, it keeps you creative too, doing all of these benefits and things like that.
Yeah. Have you been teaching master classes during this too?
Yes, you know what? As soon as Beetlejuice, if we figured it was going to be over, like after the 2 weeks, and we're still not going back,
Yeah.
I started a whole new business of teaching. I have Kerry Butler Coach. I started a website, and I love it. Like part of me loves it almost as much as doing theater, and I feel like, oh my gosh, I could retire doing this. Like this fulfills me as much as performing. So that has been the biggest gift during this time, having my students and developing relationships with them and feeling like I'm helping them, even just having something to look forward to and to create. It's, singing is so good for mental health.
Yeah.
So I really, really loved that.
So how do people find out if somebody wants to have a master class with you? How do they find out?
Well, I use my Instagram a lot, and I also started this website, kerrybutlercoach.com, and you can also email me at kerrybutlercoach for private lessons and things like that. But my next 2 master classes, I think, are sold out, but I'll post more later on.
See, that's so great. There's been a lot of positives during all of this because, like you said, I mean, people who like, oh my gosh, I can sing and take a master class with someone who I absolutely adore, like Kerry Butler, will give me advice or just, mentor me through this and, coach somebody through a song or something for an audition because everyone's, having to do these self-tapes now. I mean,
Yes.
are you enjoying that? Are you enjoying the self-tape stuff at home too?
I am. Well, it's nicer that it takes up less time, I feel like, than going into, and I love that I'm getting good at it, I think. Getting good at figuring out lighting and figuring out the background. And it's been a good lesson in less is more, like where you look for the camera and things like that. So I definitely feel like I've learned, which is the best part.
That's fabulous. Well, once again, this Sunday night, December 27th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Kerry Butler will be live, then a rebroadcast on Monday, December 28th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, doing her concert with Seth Rudetsky as part of his Seth Concert Series. The Seth Concert Series is once again produced by Mark Cortali. It's sponsored by Broadway World and StreamYard. Tickets are available at Broadway World Events and at SethConcerts.com, or like I said, just Google Kerry Butler. It will all come up. The tickets are only $28.50. There's a special VIP sound check ticket available also. Kerry, this flew by so fast. I love catching up with you.
Me too. I love you. I can't wait to give you kisses in real life.
Happy holidays, everybody. Until the next time, stay safe, wash your hands, wear a mask. Happy holidays. Kerry, I adore you and your family. I want to see all the special dishes that your family has. I know you start cooking right now. You go into the kitchen with your mother-in-law and you start prepping. Happy holidays, my love. I'll see you soon.
You too.
Take care, everyone.